Hi guys, I'm Jane Northrup Glenn, author of 2 apocalyptic and prophetic books, God Punched Back, Knocking Out the United States Government to Set People Free, and God's Public Option, a separation of church and state the way Jehovah Jireh intended. Welcome to the Kingdom Industrial Complex video channel, where we talk about the showdown between God and government for our souls. For the next several videos, I'm going to talk about the blueprint that the Lord gave me to establish a new system to deliver goods and services through a new marketplace. Jesus said that this system will emerge this year and that it cannot be stopped. So that's pretty cool. Businesses, individuals, and families that choose to be a part of this zero government funded system will have their needs met through community and not the government. The structure contains replacement systems for employment, housing, healthcare, education, banking, and more. Think of this system as a private membership franchise, something that's duplicatable and scalable and can be established anywhere. The very best thing about it is that it requires zero public funding or legislation to make happen. As a matter of fact, a condition of employment is that people have to refuse any government subsidy that they qualify for, and that includes individuals as well as businesses. The Lord told me to describe it as God's public option so people understand it conceptually, and that He has no need for politicians. Republicans, Democrats, and lobbyists, oh my, will become useless in providing for God's people from here on out. I don't know about you, but my heart is going pitter-patter right now. I am not a fan of politicians, the two-party political system, or the government, which is ironic because I'm married to a politician who happens to be running for mayor of the second largest city in Colorado, Colorado Springs. And you would be correct in thinking that we have some pretty spirited political conversations in our home. Daryl, we don't need them. I don't understand why we even have them. There's no mention of speed limits in either the Old or New Testament. Anyhow, the official name for God's public option is the American Christian Marketplace Authority, or ACMA for short. And the Lord did give me that name for this system. So why is God intervening right now? A, Christians in both political parties have done a terrible job of personally taking care of the least of these. B, the United States was the last firewall to keep the one world government from being fully established, but COVID broke through it. Or C, both A and B. If you chose C, you are correct. Freedom in America has a number of enemies, including but not limited to socialists, Marxists, communists, fascists, and globalists. Jesus told me that the globalists are the equivalent to the Amalekites in the Bible. They were the first group to attack the Israelites after their exodus from Pharaoh. In addition to that, the Amalekites were so gosh darn detestable in God's eyes that He promised to eradicate them from the earth and even remove them from the memories of His people. The second thing He told me about globalists is that they follow the doctrine of the Nicolaitans, which God hates. The doctrine of the Nicolaitans is mentioned only twice in the Bible. Both times it's mentioned in chapter 2 of the book of Revelation. The doctrine is of the one world government. I encourage you to take what I just said to the Holy Spirit and ask for discernment. I don't fully understand what He's teaching me, so I would encourage you to take that to Him. But the bottom line is, if it's global, God hates it. And if God hates it, then we no likey too. So let me give you an overview of God's public option. In 2012, I was given a vision from the Lord to build something for Him in Fort Collins, Colorado. He told me at that time that it would be recognized by the state of Colorado. 2 years later, in 2014, He downloaded a business plan for a for-profit staffing agency for employees coming out of incarceration. These employees needed a little extra love and motivation to be set free from the government oversight that was literally causing them to not be able to move from point A to point B. During this time, Jesus opened my eyes to the absolute asinine criminal justice system that we created in this country And honestly, I want to take this moment to publicly apologize to anybody whose family, who personally or whose family has been impacted by incarceration, for me ever saying, well, you shouldn't have done that. I can't believe what can possibly happen from one bad decision in somebody's life. And I mean that. Please forgive me. I had no idea until Jesus opened my eyes to this. Wow. Anyway, in 2016, authority staffing was indeed miraculously recognized by the state of Colorado, and it was named one of 21 gospel-driven businesses by Ministry Today. The vision was also featured in a national article titled Supernatural Business Plan Aims to Lift Felons Nationwide. So in 2018, the Lord told me to bring the business to completion, and he said he was sending me on a detachment. After I closed the business, I began working on a blueprint for a larger concept that would liberate an even greater number of people from the grip of the government, and this time including professionals, small businesses, and landlords. The pandemic hit in 2020, and never before oppressed Americans were now experiencing what it was like to have the government dictate and monitor every move they made, and punish them for not complying with their authority that at times seemed unjust. This is a lifestyle that those stuck in the system know very well. So in one fell swoop, the government managed to decimate the workforce, small businesses, and private property owners, creating an entire society that was completely dependent upon the government rather than God to financially survive. The American Christian Marketplace Authority is a counterpunch to this blow and the mechanism through which the Lord will restore economic and other freedoms to his people. This liberation movement will be led by those on probation and parole and those whose families have lived under government oppression for generations. This is God's version of justice and one of many fulfillments of his promise that the last will become first in the last days. And that can be read about in Matthew chapter 20, verse 16. So the best way to describe the ACMA as a freedom concept is to compare it to the military. The military has no value proposition without soldiers. A soldier goes through boot camp before he can be deployed. Soldiers take an oath and have their needs met in exchange for honorably fulfilling their duties. They receive a set paycheck based on rank and job. The military has contractors and vendors and subsidizes the soldiers' healthcare, housing, education, and more using tax dollars. Now let's look at the ACMA. The ACMA has no value proposition without workers, so the core of the ACMA is staffing. A worker goes through excellence training before he can be assigned to work for another member. Workers sign a lifestyle covenant and have their needs met in exchange for meeting contractual membership obligations. They receive a set paycheck based on job category. The ACMA has vendors, vendor members, and subsidizes the workers' healthcare, housing, education, and more using membership fees, staffing fees, other business revenue, and non-tax deductible crowdfunding. So there you have it. In each of these next several videos, I'll break down a political/social issue like universal basic income, staffing for small businesses, affordable housing, healthcare, education, supply chain, and more, and show you how God solves this problem with the ACMA and without the government. And probably more fitting, he solves these problems despite the government. In the meantime, you can read about all of these things and more in God Punched Back and God's Public Option. You can also check out AmericanChristianMarketplaceAuthority.com and get a feel for what this looks like from a practical perspective. The ACMA has not been officially launched yet, but this website will give you an idea of what it will look like when it is. I will add links below to all three of those things, the 2 books and this website. If you liked this video, please hit the like button, please share it, and also please subscribe so that you know when I post the topic that you're interested in. So until next time, peace out.